Good.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Burdick, and this is Burdick Brothers Construction, and we're going to demonstrate the last step of our new hire training orientation. We're going to go into basic electrical wiring skills. We use a structured on-the-job training program when we teach our basic wiring skills for a couple different reasons. First, we find that it really sets the trainee at ease. It relieves pressure since the trainee is not having to train in front of a customer or in front of a bunch of other people. It's a one-on-one scenario, which really helps relieve that pressure. It also offers hands-on training. And we found that the trainee is more likely to retain that information by doing the hands-on information. And then also, it presents a really bad image when we're training in front of customers. They don't want a new person, per se, in working at their house. So when we have a customer, when we have the trainee train off-site, they're able to go in and be a lot more confident in the work that they're doing. So a couple different learning objectives that we outlined for this program. They're going to learn just the basic wiring skills, the knowledge of how an outlet, a light switch, and the light fixture works, as well as how the entire system, the entire electrical circuit works all together. A couple different skills that they're going to be able to use is the skills of the specialized tools that we have laid out for an electrician. And at the end of the day, they're going to walk away with a confident attitude that they're going to be able to replicate this work when they're in the customer's home. So we've prepared, basically what we have here is a fake wall that has an outlet already set up. And what the trainee is going to have to do is they're going to have to install a light switch and then a light fixture that's ran off of the switch. Now this comes into play a couple different ways. Sometimes we have our customers that want to put a light switch in the bathroom that'll run a light switch over the mirror that's not currently there in older houses. And also sometimes we'll have customers that want to put a garbage disposal in, so we need to run power down to that garbage disposal. So it's the same situation where we have to run power from an outlet to a light switch down to another outlet or another power source to run that garbage disposal. So like I said, we've built our wall, we have that all set up. We also have laid out our tools for the trainees so that they're not overwhelmed by having to pick through a bunch of different tools. And now previously in our training, we've went through how some of the tools work and so that they can identify these tools. So we just laid it out to make it a lot easier to relieve stress off of the trainee. So I'm going to go ahead and go in and I'm going to demonstrate how to do the wiring first while our trainee watches me do this demonstration. Alright, the first step of working with electricity is a safety precaution that we're going to unplug and disconnect power. So in a customer's home, we would actually go to the electrical panel and disconnect the breaker, but with this training situation, we can simply just unplug our wall. Once we've unplugged our wall, we take our meter tester, we just plug it in, and make sure that we don't have our light turned on. This would be the same thing that you would do in a customer's house. For the next step, we're going to set our box for our light switch. So we know that in electric code, the boxes for an outlet switch has to be 41 inches from the ground. So we'll come from the ground, we'll measure up to our 41-inch point. Then all we do is flip the box backwards, set it on the wall, and outline where the switch is going to go. Now, what we try to get in the trainee's head is that you measure twice and cut once. You only get one opportunity to cut a hole because you can't grow a wall. So we're going to double check that, make sure it's at the exact right spot, and then we're going to cut it out the hole. So we measured it a second time, we made sure that it's at the right spot, so we're going to go ahead and use our drywall knife to cut a hole out for our box. After we have the hole cut out, we're going to insert our old work box into the hole. And it fits perfectly. The next step is to disconnect our old box, and we're going to pull this wiring out so that we can run a wire from our top box down to our bottom box. We also measured and set our hole for where our light fixture is going to go as well. what we did is after we set our boxes and ran our wire, we went ahead and wired up the outlet and the switch. So what we did is we attached our white wires to the left-hand side and our black wires to the right-hand side. One easy way that we train the trainees to remember that is that the black wires, or the hot wires, connect to the bronze screws. On most new outlets, there's bronze screws on the right-hand side and there's silver screws on the left-hand side. So it's a way that the trainee can remember which side the wires actually go on. So the hot is going to be on the right. We have the neutral wires on the left. We've also hooked up our ground to the green. Same thing with our switch. Our hot wires are going to break the circuit. We have our neutral wires that are capped together with a clamp. And so once we've wired everything, we're going to take the next step. We're going to stick them back in the box and fasten everything down. Okay, now that we've tucked our outlet, our switch back in place, all that's left to do is we simply wire up our light fixture per the instructions. It's very simple. The black goes to the black, the white goes to the white, put wire nuts on them after we twist them together, and then the neutral goes to the ground goes to the green screw. We've mounted our bracket, and the last step is just to tuck our wires back into the box and then attach our fixture through the two mounting screws up here. Now while we go through this whole training, we're constantly stopping and asking our trainee if he has any questions or if he wants us to repeat any of these stages, just to make sure that he understands fully how we've done that step. So we're going to tuck the wires in and mount this box. So the last step we have is to go back to the breaker and turn the power back on. With this training module, all we have to do is simply plug ourselves back in. And once we're plugged in, we just flip the switch and presto, it works. We have light to our light fixture. Now that this is all done, we simply clean up our mess so that we leave the customer's house looking exactly like it did when we arrived, and put the light fixture covers back on, and we're good to go. Okay, so now we are all done, everything's put back together, and we're getting ready to leave the customer's house. Now that I've done the training, Kyle's watched me the entire time I've been doing this training. I've answered any questions he's had as we've gone along and made sure that he was tracking throughout the entire presentation. So now I'm going to hand it over to Kyle. Now Kyle's going to have the opportunity to do the exact same thing I did on this side of the wall. So now we're going to go to him and he's going to do the training.
We run our wire from the bottom outlet up to the top, up to the light. We made sure all the wires are the right length and we've got all of them connected to the screws. And now we're just kind of waiting for the finishing touches. As a trainee, I've noticed that the most important thing is recognition of the tools. I've had to use a couple of different pliers, a couple of different kinds of screwdrivers. It's definitely the more important thing to make sure that the power is off, because I sparked myself once. It's not so much fun. 2%.
Okay, go ahead and
so
go.
We're sitting here with the finished product. Our light works, our switch works, our outlet still works, so we know we didn't break anything. One of the better parts of the practice situation wall is that it puts me at ease as the trainee, lets me be able to screw up or maybe shock myself without the customer looking at me like I'm an idiot or possibly catching a fire. Part of the knowledges and skills and abilities that I've been able to pull away from it is the right kind of tool manufacturing, the right kind of tool usage, the right kind of attitude to have. When you break something, it's not always necessarily broken, it's just something that's waiting to be fixed. Everything comes apart the same way it goes back together. After this training experience, I feel like I'd be confident to be able to perform on the site